Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're going to decode what honestly often looks like a massive alphabet soup of environmental policies. When you look at a nation as huge and as diverse as India, managing that environmental footprint, it's a monumental task. But it isn't just about throwing random rules at the wall to see what sticks. There's actually a highly structured, super intricate blueprint that's been evolving for literally decades. So today, we are going to break down that exact blueprint and see exactly how this whole framework operates, right from the ground up.
Our roadmap today is pretty straightforward. We're going from planting a single tree in a village all the way to national electric mobility. It's a logical, ground-to-globe journey. We'll hit 4 main stops. First, protecting the forests. Second, empowering local communities. Third, tackling urban pollution. And finally, financing a clean future. Let's get right into it.
So part 1, protecting the forests. Because honestly, any grand environmental master plan has to begin, literally, at the roots. You really can't talk about sustainability without first talking about how you protect and manage your forests. And for India, this protection didn't just happen overnight. It evolved over decades, moving from concepts to hard institutional frameworks. Just look at the timeline. In 1976, we get the birth of social forestry. By 1988, joint forest management becomes official policy. Fast forward to 1992, dedicated eco-development boards are formed. And then, in 2004, following some major Supreme Court orders, a massive mechanism is born, CAMPA. Now let's de-jargonize that last one, because it is a huge piece of the puzzle. CAMPA stands for the Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and Planning Authority. Basically, when user agencies like big infrastructure or mining companies need to build over forest land for non-forest purposes, they can't just cut down a bunch of trees and walk away. No way. The central government mandates that these agencies have to pay up to mitigate that impact. CAMPA is the legal mechanism making sure they actually pay for compensatory afforestation and the net present value of the forest. Essentially, it's putting a hard monetary price tag on the ecological services that forest would have provided. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is you might assume all this compensatory money goes straight into the central government's pockets, right? Well, actually, scratch that, it doesn't. The national fund only takes 10%. A massive 90% is routed directly back to the state funds. The whole idea is to put the money where the impact is, effectively empowering those local on-the-ground conservation efforts. Which brings us perfectly to part 2, empowering local communities. Because you can't protect ecosystems without the people actually living right next to them. You simply cannot protect vast ecosystems with top-down laws alone. You absolutely need the locals. That brings us to Joint Forest Management, or JFM. I want to really emphasize the core philosophy here, mutual trust. JFM is this incredible initiative to institutionalize participatory governance. It's not some bureaucratic rule where the government just barks orders at locals. It is a co-management institution. It builds a partnership with jointly defined roles and responsibilities for protecting and regenerating forests, bringing those forest fringe communities directly into the fold. And this participatory approach extends to the social forestry scheme, which is all about taking the pressure off natural forests by using unused and fallow land. I mean, think about your everyday life for a second. Picture the trees planted along local railway lines or maybe along canal banks near you. That is exactly this initiative in action. That's called extension forestry. Whether it's planting around agricultural fields in farm forestry or utilizing village commons and panchayat land in community forestry, it's all about seamlessly integrating nature right back into human settlements. And when it comes to empowering these communities and driving rural development, check out this number on the screen, 100%. That is the central government's massive financial contribution to the National Bamboo Mission. Run by the Ministry of Agriculture, this scheme goes all in for the holistic development of the bamboo sector. By linking up different ministries and local initiatives, it boosts yields, improves scientific management, pushes the marketing of bamboo handicrafts, and, crucially, generates vital employment opportunities in rural areas. Tying the community and the forest together perfectly is the Biodiversity Conservation and Rural Livelihood Improvement Project, or BCRLIP. It perfectly bridges our previous points. By using models like JFM and eco-development in critical conservation areas, BCRLIP proves that conserving biodiversity doesn't have to sabotage the local economy. In fact, through these participatory approaches, conservation becomes a win-win, mutually beneficial and directly improving rural livelihoods. Okay, shifting gears now to part 3. Tackling urban pollution. We're moving from rural forests to the dense, modern concrete jungle. As India rapidly urbanizes, the threats shift, right? Industrial pollution and waste become the major villains. But to manage industrial pollution, you first have to measure it accurately. Enter the CEPI Index. It tracks pollution from its source along its pathway to the final receptor. Now, this isn't just a complex math problem. It calculates a rational number based on pollutant concentration, the level of exposure, and the actual impact on human health across air, water, and land. Think of it as a critical early warning system that helps authorities categorize industrial clusters and prioritize exactly where interventions are needed most. But what about us, the consumers? How do we make better choices? Well, that's where the EcoMark scheme comes in. This is a government accreditation and labeling scheme. Basically, if a product significantly reduces harm to the environment and hits the strict quality requirements of the Bureau of Indian Standards, it gets an EcoMark. So next time you're buying household products, take a look for these labels. It's a policy designed to recognize good environmental performance and make sustainable choices feel immediately relevant and actionable for you. But how do we rate the efficiency of the cities themselves? And this brilliantly illustrates how we do exactly that. Through the USERS project, the Urban Services Environmental Rating System. Funded by the UNDP and implemented by TERI, it was tested in pilot cities like Delhi and Kanpur. This performance measurement tool gauges exactly what resources go into a city and what environmental services come out. It uses an inputs-outputs efficiency framework to effectively benchmark how well local bodies are delivering on those basic, everyday city services. So we've got forest authorities, rural livelihood projects, industrial pollution monitors, and city performance ratings. But here is the major narrative hinge. How do we fund clean energy? I mean, how does a massive, developing nation actually pay for this vital and, let's face it, incredibly expensive transition? That brings us to our final section, financing a clean future. Because this takes innovation, clean tech, and educating the next generation. To build a clean future, you need cutting-edge clean technology, and you need hard cash to finance it all. The pivotal year for this was 2010-11. This was the year the finance bill officially constituted the National Clean Energy Fund, or NCEF, in the public account of India. Its absolute core objective is to invest in entrepreneurial ventures, research, and highly innovative projects in the field of clean energy technology. But where does that innovation money come from? Ironically enough, from the dirtiest fuels. Just take a look at this list. Back in 2010, the Central Board of Excise and Customs introduced the Clean Energy Cess. If you produced raw coal, raw lignite, or raw peat, you were taxed. They effectively made the dirty energy producers pay for the research needed to replace them. That money gets channeled straight into the NCEF. And this funding laid the groundwork for some massive technological leaps. Consider the National Mission for Electric Mobility. Notice the year there, 2013. So the crucial point is, long before EVs were super trendy, India was already making a visionary push for domestic electric vehicle manufacturing. It was a really early, bold step toward the EV revolution we're seeing accelerate today. But, clean energy financing isn't just about high-tech cars. It's about changing daily lives. The Lighting a Billion Lives, or LAB campaign by TERI, is an incredible micro-narrative of exactly this. It promotes decentralized, specially designed solar lanterns. But it's about way more than just light. By partnering with government interventions like the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, it aids rural education. And with support from the Department of Telecommunications, it even facilitates the spread of mobile telephony. It's literally clean energy driving both connectivity and education. Let's move to and see how this builds into our final and, honestly, perhaps most important investment, mobilizing the next generation. The Eco Clubs program under the National Green Corps is designed specifically for children. It educates them about their immediate environment, ecosystems, and interdependence. Through hands-on visits and demonstrations, it mobilizes youngsters by instilling a real spirit of scientific inquiry into environmental problems, getting them actively involved in preservation efforts nice and early. Which brings us to the end of our explainer and to this final, really important thought. From the early days of social forestry to modern EV mandates, from taxing raw coal to funding solar lanterns, we've seen that the policies and institutions are firmly in place. They have built the framework, but frameworks only work if the people use them. From looking for that eco-mark at the store to participating in community forestry, the blueprint is literally in our hands. Institutions build the framework, but are we ready to be the solution? Thanks so much for exploring this with me today, and I hope this gives you a much clearer, more empowered view of our environmental future.